Black Panthers are forming a rainbow coalition.
Neutralize him.
Anywhere there's people, there's power.
Judas and the Black Messiah, rated R, in theaters and streaming exclusively on HBO Max.
The movie is so timely and so relevant to what we're seeing right now happen in our country. For people watching this movie or that are going to watch this movie, what do you want them to take away from this film?
I hope people are able to, Daniel said something earlier that I really like about being able to engage in internal revolution and work on yourself from the inside out so you can change your perspective into a healthier version. And then we can link together and sing, songs and move the world together. But we can only do that when we first engage in internal analyzation and revolution. You got to be right inside, you know what I mean? So I hope this inspires somebody to look inside themselves and say, damn, I've been thinking.
I'm from Athens Park, Bloods. Everybody calls me Bone. I've been there for pretty much my whole banging career. I started really trying to search out how did this get started. I'm saying, how did we go from being brothers to kill that nigga? Everybody knows about the Black Panthers. The Crips and Bloods are the bastard offspring of the political parties of the 60s. And so out of the ashes of the Black Panther Party came gangs, Crips, Bloods. Speaking for the hood.
Crips was about the community, cleaning it up. Could have really been something.
They all stood up and believed in something. Now look at where we're at today. Our generation has failed. I'm denouncing banging. It's bullshit.
Gang banging is not a lifestyle. It's a death style.
Matrix was a banging movie to me, and the reason why I appreciated it so much was because, do you remember at the end when Neo realized his potential? He started to see the binary code. You remember that, the whole world? Well, that's where I'm trying to be spiritually. I'm trying to see the word of God in the whole world. So every time that agent throws a punch, I'm like, I see you. Oh, okay. I'm just catching his punches. So I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid because I'm starting to see that. Things are just, situations materialize themselves and, oh, he's an agent. But here's the trick. Here's the trick. Here's the trick is that you have to remember that sometimes you can be an agent. You can be an agent to yourself. You can be an agent against someone else and not even realize that you're being used, That's the Matrix.
All it is they scared because they're studying our shit from the human genome and they're seeing those particular amino acids and changes in our DNA every day, and that's what's scaring them. You see what I'm saying? 1998, they had a big genetic conferences and one black geneticist came there and they couldn't even refute her. They just said, goddamn, they said, well, I guess we just gonna have to work at it. You can't begin to study the DNA of black people and the genetics of black people. They said, because you haven't even developed the markers of, markers are indication of things. They said, she said, you haven't even developed a scientific program to even study this, and that's why you calling it the junk DNA. And the junk DNA is the new amino acids that's popping up in us every day. You see what I'm saying? So when
the African American soldiers had a large functioning pineal gland. The pineal gland is normally about the size of your thumb. So it was not a vestigial organ in 70 to 80% of African Americans, but it is a calcified organ in 75 to 80% of people with European ancestry. So they began to reevaluate the pineal gland.
So this is a complex molecule. It's found in the brain. It's found in your adrenal glands. It's a powerful free radical scavenger. In other words, it helps the body prevent this oxidation, so it's an antioxidant. Melanin may play a much bigger role than just absorbing all this radiation, and when you get it into your body, it actually has a major effect on your immune system. It protects genes and it actually repairs broken DNA. Isn't that wonderful? Something breaks down because you're exposed to chemicals or radiation. Think of the people of Japan right now in 2000.
The chromosphere of the sun is made up primarily of hydrogen and lies separate and above the photosphere. Photo meaning the light sphere, the part that you can see. Now the DNA that is twisted into a double helix and joined together by hydrogen. I said that to say that the so-called chromatosphere or chromosphere of the sun and the chromosomes of the cell are your inner sun. Remember, the cells are your internal little suns. You have whole solar systems that are cells. The chromosome and the chromosphere are together and are synergistically linked through the activity of the DNA. So the sun and you are intermittently connected through the DNA. Your chromosomes and the chromosphere, hydrogen bonds in the chromosomes, hydrogen is as the majority, thousands of miles thick around the sun. You are being beamed information through the hydrogen, the chromosphere of the sun is connecting to the hydrogen coupling bonds in your DNA and giving it instructions to change. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be giving you instructions to grow a third helix.
In control of the world, they have to suppress other interpretations of world history.
Well, Nile Valley is so important because it's from that area we find the oldest documented civilization in the world. From the Nile Valley, we know that the people of ancient Kemet were African, had dark skin, and we do know that from the Nile Valley, our ancestors created the first alphabet called Meta-Neter, which the Greeks renamed hieroglyphics. We also know that our ancestors created the first paper, which was made from the papyrus plant, the first clock, which was a water clock. The Greek name for that is calypsodra, but a lot of the things that have laid the foundation for us today that have allowed us to be able to write down our history and to be able to pass that on, we've only been able to do that with many of the inventions that our ancestors created.
And the more they dig, the more black they find the people, the culture, and the civilization. When they went to Mesopotamia to try to find a civilization that preceded Kemet, what they found was black folk. So they stopped digging. They're afraid.
Black race created the civilization, civilized the white folks 2 times. We know that black people built all these things. The Greeks, who were supposed to have been the founders of civilization because they were the first civilized white folks. But the Greeks got their civilization from the Egyptians. And the Egyptians were black people. And the Greeks passed their civilization on to the Romans. They couldn't retain it. They lost it. They had a dark age in Europe for 500 years. And then another bunch of Africans, the Moors, from North Africa moved into Spain and started civilization all over again. So instead of Europe civilizing Africa, Africa has civilized Europe 2 times.
When you talk about grammar or the dialectic, or if you're talking about concepts of astronomy or music,
the people from the Nile Valley were the very first people to develop a concept of time. Time is a concept that sprang from the minds of African people. They were the first people to divide the day into 24 hours. They were the first people to develop the calendar, 365 and a quarter days. They were the first people to build with stone. They were the first people to develop systems of education, the first universities. They invented writing. They invented paper. They developed libraries. They were the first physicians, the first psychologists, the first dentists, the first brain surgeons. They were the first governors, the first rulers, the first men and women to orient structures to celestial bodies in order to harness the spiritual energy that's generated within a structure that is properly aligned to celestial spirits. So in other words, they were human beings who knew how to manifest the power of God on earth.
Elohim is the El is masculine, just like in Spanish. Loa is feminine, Im is plural. These are the 7 Elohim. Saturn is Saturday, Jupiter is Thursday, Mars is Tuesday, Sun is Sunday, Venus is Friday, Mercury is Wednesday, Moon is Monday. These are also your 7 chakras, and then these are also the metals that represent each of the 7 Elohim. That's where you get the expression from turning lead to gold. The 7 Elohim are also the 7 candles of the 7 candlestick menorah. And starting with Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon. This is also the name of Solomon. Sol means the sun, Mo means the moon. It's the masculine and the feminine. And then kind of like this, with the yin and the yang, and then the flux point in the middle, which is actually the first cube where your light is, or your God is, and your pineal gland. Just like a pendulum. They're the 7 archangels. Angels or angles of light. This is how they were depicted in different cultures throughout time. They represent the 7 vowels, and they're also the 7 double letters in Hebrew. My Hebrew's ugly.
The 12 signs of the zodiac is inside of you. That's 12 particular parts of consciousness that's inside of you. The 13th part of the consciousness is the dot inside of the circle. So if you take the circle, the ring of Solomon, and you've seen this, the spirit, you'll see the spirit and you'll see the dot. And if you take it and did do it 12 times, you get the zodiac. You see what I'm saying? The dot in the circle is the centerpiece, which is the 13th, which is Christ and the 12 disciples. 12 seasons of the year, but those particular cycles are the different archetypes of consciousness. Archetypes of the collective of consciousness. So you all the signs. Somebody say, what sign are you? I said, well, I mastered that shit. I'm Gemini, I'm all that shit. Because I'm above the damn sign. I'm right here in the motherfucking circle. And how do you get in this circle? Just realize there is a damn circle and you bypass the shit. It's all based on thought. I might be any of these bastards in any given hour, but I'm not schizophrenic no more. I'm right here in the circle, and that's the Christ. The Star Series is on the Lodge or every white nation. So they had to name this thing Superman because the original concept was the Star Series. They talking about you. You're the Superman from the Star Series. Man of Steel. Who is the African Man of Steel? Oh, boom. That's our shit. Smallville is the story that came out on Superman growing up. They showed who Superman was. Lois Lane went to an Egyptian exhibit and got a hold to a necklace. She was possessed by Isis, and they had the remains of Osiris in a canopic jar. She would lock him down in a sarcophagus and do a ritual to restore the body of Osiris to Superman. What they were trying to say is Superman is the original Osiris. Who is Osiris? Osiris is the god of the perfect black. So when they were talking about Superman, they were talking about the star Sirius, which is called the soul of Isis, and the Greek word for Sirius is Osiris also. Three stars in Orion's belt. With Dogon say that the nomos, the shit that you feeling and you feeling fuck this shit, that's the God in you telling you what time it is. Whatever we do is whatever matters in the damn universe. A few black people that's conscious now, the cracker is only just, his rituals only add to keeping his structure in trying to keep a system that's crumbling anyway. 9.9% of our people just dummified by this doggone European doggone structure. I'm upset with black people for having all this potential and don't want to do shit and don't give a damn, don't want to be nothing related to themselves. That's why they got y'all watching the fucking damn impeachment hearings. Let me drop the shit on that for you. We understand that the Antichrist and all that metaphysically is talking about melanin and that's us. Now let's explain this.
They're inside of your body. That's where they are. They didn't leave. We got trapped into the physical, and our egos developed, and we started thinking that we were real, while our souls were those gods that got trapped in the physical.
So is that what all this is about there? So we come in, right, nah, I ain't on that, but I'm saying, so...
Your soul used to be this entity, this God.
Right.
And it got trapped into a physical realm and went to sleep, and therefore... your ego, or the person you think you are, took over and started running things. But the thing you think that left, it didn't left, it's on the inside of you. That's the chakras I was talking about.
And that's what, and so so it's coming back then. That's what all this shit is about, right?
That's why you having this conversation with me tonight, it's back. Otherwise you wouldn't be having this conversation. You'd be like, Jesus is the answer. What up when we had in Jesus? You'd be doing some of that shit.
They tell you in the Bible, you must come as a child. Well, in order to access this, and the best way to get rid of the false you or the false ego you, which is the self that you know to go to no self, you gotta become as a child. Get rid of that grown mentality. It's gotta shed all of that. That is the one that's got you unhappy. You're trying to be an adult. You're trying to be something in this society that's limited, and it's all false. And when you get those things, the house, the car, the accolades, the job, you still feel empty. You see what I'm saying? Them niggas be sitting around the damn tree talking shit. And the white man say these are childlike people. No, they spiritual. Because when you lose that innocence, that's when the spirit